Hello there, Qckslvrslash, and today I have a video for you of me driving the Tier 6 American cruiser, the Cleveland. Now, this has been a long favorite ship of mine, going all the way back to closed beta, but a bit of its bite's been taken away with the patches, as they realized she was definitely a little overpowered, 100% overpowered in closed beta. Her shell trajectory was so much flatter that her AP was better, it was easier to hit targets with her guns, and the rate of fire just made her deadly. But as they've developed the game, they've increased the loft on those shells, which in a way gives her some other specialties like firing over islands. But man, it can be hard to hit some targets right out at the edge of your range. So as you can see, Tier 6 game, couple carriers in play, which is always great when you're in an anti-air cruiser because you know you're going to get some plane kills. And a pretty good spread across the team, but definitely a little battleship heavy, which I don't mind driving the Cleveland because I'll just fire HE at them from range, maneuver, and just let the fires kill them. So, if it's not obvious by now, my plan is to work my way over to sea and try to start capping it. You can see most of the team is pushing, or at least remaining, down in the south. We have one destroyer who's raced up to A, and I'm trying to hit this Aoba, but you can see with that long shell flight time, the slightest movement of the enemy ship, and your shells miss by easily a boat length. So you've got to get a little bit more predictive, and that's when I notice, oh hey, that's a whole lot of planes coming straight at me. I put up my fighter, I activate my air cooldown, and I'm about to rip these squadrons a new one. I don't know what that guy was thinking sending his planes over at Cleveland. This thing is the best anti-aircraft, I think, tier for tier, really. And you can see I'm just destroying them. There's already 9 of them, and I think I get 14 of the aircraft, and take any chance they had a way of doing damage. And honestly, the anti-air is one of the things I love about driving American cruisers. It's just, you no longer have to worry about the air attacks. Until about Tier 10, because a well-driven Tier 10 carrier, those torpedo bombers are so quick, they can get the torps off before you can kill too many of them. So, pretty obvious right here, there's a DD somewhere in this cap. Just don't know where, so I'm going to throw some shells at the Congo and push in to try to contest the cap. I don't want them, being able to build up points uncontested, and that's when the Mitsuki gets spotted. And you can see one of the other things that really hurt the Cleveland is they slowed the turret traverse down just a hair. At least I believe they did. It didn't seem that slow in the past, so you can really outmaneuver your guns. Continue to work on that Mitsuki, because with only 2 DDs per team, if we can remove all of their destroyers, you've got a big advantage there. If not for the torpedoes and damage they can do, just getting cap points late game and vision. That's, such a critical part of World of Warships. And right there, I take one of them out and get my first kill. I'm pretty happy about that. So I fire one volley at the Congo, and then I switch to AP for really the first time this match, hoping this Aoba will come around the corner a little more flat on, and you're going to see the reason I use very little AP in this ship. 1300 damage for an entire volley, and I try one more time, little better result there with 2500, but they need to be side on to do the damage, and unfortunately the second that Aoba starts to turn, friendly BB finishes them off, and that's one less enemy to have to worry about. I see all those torpedo bombers and dive bombers coming in at that Congo. There's no way I can get into range to try to support him in the time before those torps go, so unfortunate loss, but they lose their Congo too to our Bayern's guns. And right here you're going to see one of the big advantages to the Cleveland is just that high arc lets you dip shells over very tall islands. See me just working out where to aim for this Koenig, and then once I've kind of got it figured out, I tend to right click and then just hold the mouse button down so that when the shells are ready they fire. Unfortunately, lose him as we don't have spotting, but I did get a fire there and you can see it is burning. Get a bit lucky there, dodging those New Mexico shells, and the few that hit me seemed to be overpens as I didn't take much damage. Now obviously right now I want to be getting into C. We've only got one cap, we're really even on points right now, and we're dead even on kills. Unfortunately, with 3 battleships all within 10 kilometers of that cap circle, I can't drive in there yet. So I've got to back off, and it's never a good feeling to have to do that. So right now I'm going to do the best I can to support my battleships to try to get rid of at least 1 or 2 of these guys. Then I can get in there and try to cap it and hopefully make up the points that we're falling behind right now. If you look up at my damage, you can see how much I've already managed to do just with HE and those 7 fires I've lit. If you can force a battleship to use its cooldown, the carrier can drop his torps, get the flooding, and they're going to do more damage too. And it's one of the reasons I kind of like playing these support cruisers. And I end up getting the last tick of damage on that Congo for my 2nd kill of the game. So at this point of the game, I'm actually feeling really good. We're back ahead on points. We don't have the caps, but I'm a little less worried about that as we're starting to pull a slight edge in kills. And as long as you're aggressive about getting back into the caps as a team, you can really come back from that. You can't come back from just not having a ship. So I was working that Koenig over as long as I could. Second he got behind the island, I stopped firing and didn't feel comfortable with the shot on the New Mexico, so I just stopped firing to try to break contact a bit. And once again, I'm just a little bit too far away to help my friendly there with those torpedo bombers. Luckily they were in a tight group as a pair of battleships, and that can be a good way to mitigate the fact that you don't have a cruiser. You know, individual battleships can have decent AA, but you put 2 of them really close together and you can start to knock out a squadron before it manages to hit you. And this is where I would say things kind of first start to go wrong. I get a kill, we're looking good, we're capping C, but we're about to lose that Bayern, and I notice those, well, at least right now, 1 Cleveland pushing out a B, and with only 10,000 hit points, I can't kind of continue to drive through the cap, so I've got to double back and just hope that I can manage to cap this before taking any hits. with a set of bombers coming over me, I activate the cooldown because I don't want them to hit me. Unfortunately, that Cleveland ends up getting some shells in me, lighting me on fire, and I'm just not going to cap this before I have to get out. That New Mexico is close. There's 2 Clevelands now raining shells down on me. Thankfully, one of them's using HE right now, and I've managed to take out that New Mexico, getting my 4th kill of the game, and I'm just shy of 60,000 damage halfway into this contest.
Anti-aircraft gun crews are on normal alert.
So my goal right now is try to break contact again, and then double back into C to cap it, because as you can see, we're starting to get into dire straits here. They've held all 3 caps for a really long time, so even though we're ahead on points or ahead on kills, they're going to end up capping this out more than likely before we can run all those carriers down. So that's really got to be a focus of our team. You know, trying to chase something like if that Cleveland there to the north decides to drive away, if we chase him, we're making a stupid play. We've really got to focus on getting into these caps and just killing the targets at hand.
Fighter airborne.
And really, things aren't too bad right now. We're, what, about 150 points behind? But you can see how quickly 3 caps can add up. So for us to be able to pull this back, we've got to both consistently be getting kills to swap those points over and start taking caps. And the swapping points over, for those who don't see, when you destroy an enemy ship, depending on its class, you get points, but they also lose points. So it's kind of a...
The enemy is about to win.
It's a good way of prolonging a battle if you need a little more time to try to get caps. And I think there's some people that just don't entirely understand how that works, because you'll see yourself in a situation where you've got the game on lockdown and they're just like, oh, I'll just go try to kill them. If I die, it doesn't matter. Look how many points we have. And they don't really consider that, you know, their death is a switch of 80 points and it ends up putting you behind. So with all the threats finally removed, I can get into C and really focus on trying to help this team win. We've had a couple ships try to go to A. We had a DD, he died. Battleship tried to go up there alone, he got torpedoed to death by the carriers. And it really just shows the importance of playing a team game over the kind of, you know, one man, I'll just go take this flank. The exceptions can be if you're, you know, retreating from a flank and just trying to slow ships up with gunfire. Once again, one of our guys is more than likely going to eat some torpedoes here. I do turn to the north, try to get inside my gun range and at least activate that cooldown. Because if they're inside my radius with that cooldown active, it's going to make their torp drop wider, and I'm hoping that'll keep the Fuso in it. You can see they end up actually going really what I think is the wrong way. I personally would have dropped from the north just past that edge of land at him. By coming the way they did, I managed to actually get almost the entirety of the torpedo squadron and a good chunk of these bombers too on their way out. But that demon is still there, and that is the point count. We may be ahead on kills. We've got their one remaining real kind of fighting ship left. The carriers can be deadly efficient, but alone they start to lose their punch. So if we can get this Cleveland, I really think we have a chance of taking this game. And thankfully, he's on the other side of B, so getting to him means capping Bravo. And you see in chat there, I'm asking our team, we have to get these caps. And unfortunately, our Fuso, because he had to turn there, ends up out of position, isn't really able to support me as well into this cap. And he's going to end up wandering to the north, going to this last known position of the carrier, hoping to get him. So at the long range, you can see the difference in strategy between me and this enemy Cleveland. He's using AP. I take a little bit of damage, but I did more damage there with the HE shells, plus I lit the fire. So if I can get one more, it's gonna stick and start ticking, and you can see how critical getting this kill is right now. They're up to 919 points, still climbing. At least being in B has slowed it down, so they're only getting the 3 points from A. So we're gonna keep our difference at least. But I have to win this gunfight, and that Cleveland's got 20,000 hit points to my 6,000. But I've got some support from teammates, and I'm hitting him where he's not hitting me, and I'm getting the fires and getting consistent damage. I went into this fight with about 7,000 hit points. He's only managed to do 1,500, and I think I've done about 10,000 to him in that time. Unfortunately for me, I end up behind the island. My original idea was I gotta get back there, just keep myself alive, because if I die right now, it's game over. My team's continuing to fire at him. He's spotted. There's torp bombers coming in at him. And really, he's done for the count. And that gets my 5th kill and the Kraken unleashed. But this game's not over yet. Just under 3 minutes. We get Bravo. And now I am making a beeline for Alpha. The only chance we have at this is if we can stop them from getting points, start to catch up on our own, and get at least one of those carriers, we've got a chance. But it's all going to come down to timing of everything. And the Cleveland isn't the fastest ship. These are those moments where protecting your destroyers, or if you're a destroyer, disengaging and just staying alive for the late game. He could easily have snuck up here later in the game and just capped it out from under them to help us. So an important thing to note too is watch where planes are going on the map. I can kind of see them heading in this direction, so I'm thinking their carrier's somewhere up here. Now a really good carrier captain will try to dupe you out. You know, they may be sitting right here, and they'll send their planes up here way out of vision and then along the border before returning. The problem with that move is it keeps their squadrons down for longer because it's just the added flight time. But when you're all that's left, you have to use every tactic you have to try to confuse the players to keep them from finding you. And really the only thing I have, because a carrier has better detection than I do, is the second I get normal spotted, not spotted by an aircraft, I know there's a carrier inside that spotting range. And I just got detected, which means 12.9 kilometers from me, there's a carrier. And you can see he ended up driving into detection. Takes me a couple seconds to notice, and this partly because I was typing to try to tell people he's somewhere near me, guys. And I get my guns going. And against a Bogue, this isn't even fair. The Bogue is slow, immaneuverable. It's got nothing to fight back against me. And watching where those planes are landing and taking off, I know exactly where their other carrier is. I activate my final anti-air cooldown. I start ripping apart more planes. We capture A, so now we're the only team generating points, and I know exactly where their carrier is. Unfortunately, there's only 20 seconds left. The odds of me killing him are low, so all I'm hoping for is that tick to carry us over their 906 points. And this is where heartbreak sets in. I hear that tick, and I know this is going to be a loss. What disappointment at the end. Great game for me, 520,000 credits, 3,600 experience, Kraken Unleashed, 92,000 damage, 228 shells, but the Cleveland stacks up those shells. One shy of 50 planes shot down, 6 kills, all those fires, and I was responsible for at least being there for all the captures. And to lose by that close a margin, and smart play by that enemy carrier hiding behind that island there, because with the time left, he knew we wouldn't be able to get there. Looking at the team score, 2,097 base experience, and I mean, that guy who won them the game, he's top of their team, so he's obviously a good player, but it just sucks to play so well and to have such a good game and lose, but it happens sometimes. And they're made up for those ones where you play like crap and somehow win. Overall, really good spread of damage, and you can see most of my damage is HE, and in the Cleveland, it is. You saw me fire a couple rounds at that Aoba that came around the corner at me, but if they don't give you their side, you're not going to get in with AP, so you might as well be going for fires and just breaking secondaries and modules. 442,000 credits taken home, and Cleveland Captain just keeps getting a little bit better each time. If you enjoyed the game, please give me the thumbs up, consider subscribing, it really helps me out, gives me the motivation to keep making these videos, and I'll have another one for you guys tomorrow.